Ever wondered what you were missing in Animal Kingdom's most popular land? Let's find out. We are in Pandora, world of Avatar today, a land based off of James Cameron Avatar film and the coming sequels. We're going to check out the rides, the food, the entertainment, the theming, hidden details, so you don't miss a single thing when you're in Pandora, or so you can live vicariously through me if you can't get to Pandora anytime soon. You're welcome. So Pandora immerses you in the Valley of Mo'ara, which is a region on Pandora, the planet that the Na'vi live on in the Avatar films. Even if you don't have a big connection to this movie, I certainly don't, you'll probably love this land. It's extremely popular for a reason. The main entrance to Pandora is to the left of Discovery Island, so if you just make a left of the Tree of Life, you'll find yourself here. You can also access this land from Africa across a long boardwalk, which we'll check out a little later. Pandora has a super unique environment with bioluminescence at night, as well as some interesting alien plant life during the day. You can keep an eye out for PhotoPass photographers, like you can see right here, to go ahead and snap your picture in front of some of that Pandoran wildlife. If you watched my Discovery Island tour, you probably know about the Wilderness Explorers. These are the explorers from Up. Russell is one of them. And there is a stop here in Pandora. Wilderness Explorers is a free self-guided experience that's geared towards kids, but I have had a lot of fun doing it as an adult as well, where you can learn a little bit about nature, wildlife, animals, all sorts of things around the park. And there are a few stations here in Pandora, one here and then one a little further along into the valley. There are a few things that you are probably walking right by in Pandora, a few things that I didn't even notice until recently. I'll show you one of them right now. So if you look off the pathways, you will certainly notice some wildlife that looks familiar and some that looks very, very unfamiliar. I don't know what that is and I don't want to know. But you'll also notice that back in the woods over here, there is a helicopter, one of those fancy helicopters from Avatar, all crashed and overgrown. That's because this land is set many, many years after the events of the first Avatar film. The bad guys who invaded Pandora in that film are now gone, out of here. That's a remnant from the war with the bad guys, and now there are the good guys here, ACE Alpha Centauri Expeditions, who work alongside the Na'vi to provide educational experiences here in Pandora. It's pretty neat. We'll check out some of the ACE stuff around. Of course, when most people get to Pandora, they're not looking at that weird little ship in the woods. They're looking at the floating mountains, which are the centerpiece of this land. They are an amazing theming detail. Pandora is known for its flying mountains, and the Valley of Mo'ara has a few of its own. You can see that they really do look like they're floating. It's absolutely a feat of Imagineering, and how they do it is spectacular. Grown-ups watching might be able to figure out a little bit about how they did it, but it's definitely mind-blowing to see in person these giant hunks of rock being suspended above you. Also, take a look at those vines. Those might give you a little hint. Now, these mountains are referred to as the Hallelujah Mountains by the Na'vi in their own language, of course. So it's known as a sacred place in the story, which is pretty cool. There are some crazy animal noises happening behind me. If I get eaten by a space panther, I'm gonna be upset. Now, Pandora is not super straightforward to navigate. There are a lot of winding paths and things. Sometimes the paths are used for the queue for Flight of Passage, which is one of the rides here. If you want to know a little bit more about what that looks like, you can check out our video where we did an experiment for the best way to ride Flight of Passage just recently. So go ahead and check out our How to Conquer the Most Stressful Ride in Animal Kingdom video for that. In this old bunker looking building, you'll find one of the restrooms here in Pandora. It is going to be on the busy side, but so are all of the restrooms in Pandora. You gotta go though, so they're here. Now, Pandora does have something you'll find in every Disney World land, but with a little twist. This is the Ace Mobile Treats cart. So it's just an ice cream cart, but it does actually have a treat that is exclusive here to Pandora. The Fruits of Mo'ara fruit bar is a Pandoran exclusive. It's raspberry, lime, and something else that I already forgot even though I just read it. Strawberry. It's strawberry. I went and checked. Molly and I did eat that and everything else that they serve here in Pandora in our Food Challenge Pandora edition. You can check that out for full reviews of literally all of the food here in Pandora. I'm gonna eat a little today and later, but if you want to see it all, that's the video to watch. As we continue on, there is a pin trading location here, and over here we've got a little merchandise stall. It's going to have a lot of the merchandise that you can find in the main store here in Pandora as well, with these like lighty spinners and lots of Pandoran merch, baby packs, t-shirts, banshee wings as one wears, binoculars, that's fun. You'll see a lot of the Pandora theming looks a lot like industrial human theming mixed with more native Na'vi theming, such as these kind of Dreamcatcher-esque weavings that they have. And we're getting close to our first attraction, but first we actually have something that we need to talk about that's missing from Pandora. When you're exploring Pandora, you'll probably notice this big sort of natural looking drum set situation in here. Now, you are totally welcome to come up here and bang on some of the drums. Should I do it? Am I already doing it? Here we go. Yeah, but these bigger drums up high are actually for the performers Satu'li, which are a Pandoran sort of drum group. They're very cool. They have not returned since the 2020 park closures, but we are certainly keeping an eye out for them. So keep an eye on AllEars.net to make sure you don't miss updates like the return of Satu'li, or the other streetmosphere here, the Pandora Rangers, which is basically a guy walking around in a mech suit. It's very cool, especially if you like sci-fi. As you reach the back corner of Pandora, you will find the first attraction. This is Na'vi River Journey. As you can see from its current 90-minute wait, it is a bit of a popular one, as are both the attractions in Pandora. This ride has no height requirement, and it's a pretty peaceful tour down a river of the Valley of Moara. You get to see a lot of the Pandoran wildlife, and the creme de la creme of this ride is the shaman animatronic that you see at the end, which is one of the most advanced animatronics in Disney World. It's unbelievable how realistically it moves. I say we go ride it, don't you think? A lot of people consider Na'vi River Journey to be a little bit boring. I love it because I love a boat ride and I love a really cool animatronic, both of which happen in Na'vi River Journey. I, however, would not wait 90 minutes for it. I do have Genie Plus today to help me with filming. I wouldn't wait 90 minutes for it. I wouldn't wait more than an hour for it. My big tip would be to get Genie Plus for it, or to go ahead and head over here earlier in the day or later in the day to try to avoid some of those lines. A pretty cool note about the queue of Na'vi River Journey is that if you look up in the ceiling once you're under the cover, you will see that there's kind of weavings all across, and that is actually a map that the Na'vi made of the river that you're going to be traveling down. Look at those giant pitcher plants. Those look like they're supposed to be based on actual earth pitcher plants, which are carnivorous, but those are huge. Do you think they could eat a person? I wish I could stand in that waterfall. It's so hot. So you'll see that there are some areas kind of set up for lines through here. This is what I was talking about when I say some of the pathways are used for the queue on Flight of Passage. Now don't be fooled, right now it is a 125-minute wait, and just because you don't see people winding all through the land doesn't mean that isn't true. In the morning, you'll see the line is much, much longer, but your wait will actually probably be shorter. Again, check out that Conquering Flight of Passage video to make sure that you know all the best tips for riding this really difficult to ride ride. One of my favorite details in Animal Kingdom is this way, and we're gonna check it out. So located kind of winded through the Flight of Passage queue is my favorite view in all of Pandora. It is this sort of like valley-scape that looks up into the mountains. The forced perspective they use here to make it look far away is so effective. Also, my favorite hidden detail, if you look at the highest up waterfall up there, that waterfall is actually fake. It's not real water. For the forced perspective to work, the water looked too big to be up close. So it's actually a plastic wheel that looks a little bit like water and rotates to make it look like the waterfall is coming from farther away. And that, my friends, is a Quincy fact that I give you full permission to share and pretend that you knew on your own to impress your family. You're welcome. There's like a really scary dragonfly, and I keep looking at it like there's no way that that's not an engineered dragonfly for Pandora. But then I remembered I'm in Florida, and there's weird stuff here. I've been mentioning a lot about Flight of Passage. Now that is located right here. It is easily the most popular ride in Animal Kingdom. It typically has the longest wait in the park. I saw it at 155 minutes this morning. It's now down at 120, but that is still a 2-hour wait. Flight of Passage had a 44-inch height requirement, and these seats are kind of weird. You do sit on top of them like a motorcycle, and they do come up and clamp on your back and your calves. It does not accommodate all body types, so if you think that you might not fit, for whatever reason, go ahead and talk to a cast member outside of the ride. They do have a test vehicle out here so that you don't wait in a 2-hour line and then find out that you can't ride the vehicle. This attraction does have a lightning lane, although unlike Navi River Journey, it is not included in Genie Plus. It's going to be an individual attraction selection, or as we like to call them, fancy rides. Basically, you have to pay a pay-per-ride fee to get in the lightning lane for this one. That fee is typically one of the highest in Disney World at $14 per person to go into the lightning lane. Now just keep in mind that fancy rides can be affected by surge pricing, making it more expensive on busier weekends, more expensive on holidays. So make sure you check in advance before you make all your plans around being able to purchase a lightning lane and see that it's a couple dollars more expensive than you wanted. However, you do make it on Flight of Passage. Once you get on, you'll see it's a simulator attraction, but probably not like any simulator attraction you've ridden before. It's a little bit like Soarin'. The seats are different in that you're kind of straddling them, like I said, like a motorcycle, and you are much closer to the screen. It feels much more immersive than Soarin' does, in my opinion. The story of the ride is like in Avatar. You are connecting to an avatar that is already on the back of a banshee, which is basically the Pegasus flying horse of Pandora, except scary and will eat you if it doesn't like you. But you're connecting to an avatar that's already on the back of the Banshee. It's what the Na'vi call their traditional flight of passage, flying on the back of the Banshee successfully, and you get to do that flight. You see a lot of beautiful locations across Pandora. It is a gorgeous ride. There are smells. It smells good, and that's all I really care about. And I will say it really does feel like you're flying. It's awesome. The Flight of Passage queue is also really cool. It's a great place to see some of that story of Pandora with Alpha Centauri expeditions, and you get to walk through sort of like a confusing array of Pandoran caves, Pandoran forest, and then you actually head into an ACE lab where you can see them studying Pandoran wildlife and even see an avatar suspended in sort of like a big test tube, which is super cool and I could stare at for a very long time if I wasn't stopped by the fact that I want to ride Flight of Passage. One of my favorite Easter eggs in Animal Kingdom is located as you're exiting Flight of Passage. Take a look to your right. You might see a few handprints on the wall. There are 3 handprints. They've got the initials JC, JL, and JR. That's James Cameron, the creator of Avatar, John Lando, a producer of Avatar, and Joe Rohde, the creator of Pandora here in Animal Kingdom. Very famous Imagineer. So that is a very cool Easter egg, kind of like an artist signing their work. When you exit Flight of Passage, you'll head down these ramps and into our next stop, which is probably the weirdest store in Disney World. You gotta see it to believe it. Let's head into Windtraders. So Windtraders is the only full merchandise location in Pandora. You can see it's got a very unique look, much like the rest of Pandora. And there's some merchandise that you can find here that you certainly will not find anywhere else. Edible vein pod. Ew. Pandoran plant life. Glow-in-the-dark t-shirt. This absolutely unhinged windbreaker featuring the Shaman of Song. Strange but cute plushes. Pandoran ears. Na'vi tails. Na'vi weaponry. The surprising merch truly does not end, but there are actually a few unique merchandise experiences that you can have in this store too, which, if you're willing to pay a little extra and get to keep a souvenir, might be something you want to do. For one, we've got this build your own Na'vi bracelet or necklace experience for 20 bucks. You get to set them up with all these different beads and things like that. Feathers. There's a pretty bustling corner of the store over here, and that's because this is the Banshee Rookery, where you can adopt a mini Banshee of your own. These Banshees are your very own Pandoran pet. They are small, you can hold them in your hand or they can perch on your shoulder, and they do move around via puppetry, so they're pretty cool, pretty popular. If you've got a kiddo who really resonates with Pandora, this could be a great gift, and the adoption experience is a fun one, kind of similar to making your own droid in Galaxy's Edge over at Hollywood Studios. Hi, little guy! Look how cute! One experience that hasn't returned since the 2020 park closures is the Ace Avatar Maker. Now, this experience you can see is a very unique sort of situation where you can make an avatar figurine from your own appearance. Now, hopefully that experience does return. Again, keep an eye on AllEars.net to make sure you know when it does. This store is like a theme park on its own. My favorite thing in here is this giant life-size bust of Neytiri from the Avatar film. It's very cool. It's very large. It gives you a sense of just how big the Na'vi are when you're right up next to it. So it's pretty cool. All right, I have to get out of here. I'm going to end up with a Banshee and a tail. Gotta head out. All right, I'm sitting down to mobile order for lunch because we are headed to literally my favorite quick service in all of Disney World, and I am not the only one who thinks that. It is amazing. If you have not eaten there, you should, because the food is so good and very unique, but also good for picky eaters in some ways more than others. A number of Disney World spots offer mobile order. You can check out where in which park you're in the app. Just head to the My Disney Experience app, hit order food, and you can check out the available options. We're headed to Satu'li Canteen if you didn't guess already, and I can just go in here, pick out when I want to pick it up, pick out all of the food that I'm gonna eat and any drinks. And then once my window opens, which is in 10 minutes, I'm here to prepare my order. While I'm sitting here, I realized that I need to tell you about the floor. You'll notice it's like very colorful, kind of looks like you're at a glow run. That is a bioluminescent powder, or bioluminescent. And if you are in Pandora at night, you can see that the ground glows, much of the plant life glows. It's beautiful in here at night. So if you happen to have the opportunity to be here late, Animal Kingdom can close kind of early before the sun goes down, but if you do have the opportunity to be here late, it is very much a sight to see. I don't know what's happening here, but I do know what's happening here, and that's wilderness exploration, because this is where the other stop is. Satu'li Canteen is Pandora's biggest restaurant, biggest dining location. It is a quick service restaurant, and they serve bowls. It's kind of like Space Chipotle. It's build your own bowl. You pick your protein, your base, and your sauce, and they've got beef, chicken, shrimp, kids options, tofu, some mousses for desserts, and then Molly's favorite, the cheeseburger pods. You'll see as we're walking in here, there's plenty of shady outdoor seating, and it is covered for the rain. It's not just shade, it's effective. And there's actually a lot of indoor seating too. It is a peak lunchtime right now, so we'll see if I have luck finding a table, but there's enough seating that it's typically not too difficult. Sure enough, no tables inside, so I'm outside, but it's okay because I'm in the shade, and maybe I won't fall over because it's so hot. But I have Satu'li Canteen, so really everything's fine. This is one of the few restaurants in Disney World where I actually switch up what I get because all of the bowl options are so good. I know Molly loves the cheeseburger pods, but I am a fan of the create your own bowls. This is the beef bowl. I got the beautiful, like thinly sliced beef. I chose the rice and beans as my base, and then the green onion dressing is my favorite. If you like a really bitey onion dressing, that's what I go with. And you got the slaw and the boba on top. All right, I got a bite with a little bit of everything. It's so good. The beef is so thinly cut, super easy to just like taste all of the good flavor on it. It's got sort of like a black pepper seasoning, I think, on the very outside of it. The rice is awesome. It's kind of similar to like a milder black beans and rice that you get at like any sort of like Tex-Mex restaurant. They've got the beautiful slaw on top. I love slaw. I think it's an awesome like way to cool down a dish. And then the boba, you might think it's weird, but there's like the little popping bubbles of boba juice. Delicious. So altogether, an amazing meal. I definitely recommend that spring onion, the green onion dressing, because it's got that oniony bite to it that I think really sets us over the top, but I'm a happy camper. All right, we've got one last stop, and this one's a popular one, especially if you enjoy a sweet treat or an alcoholic or non-alcoholic libation. Let's check it out. Our last stop is right next to Satu'li Canteen. It's a much smaller location. It's right here. It's called Pongu Pongu. Pongu in the Na'vi language does mean party, so this place is literally called Party Party. This spot has a small but mighty menu. It is home to the Pineapple Lumpia, which is a controversial treat, but one that some people love, some people don't like. Pineapple and cream cheese. I actually do like it, despite not liking cream cheese that much. It's also home to the famous Night Blossom Slush, which they also have some alcoholic options as well. And that Na'vi-sized pretzel with beer cheese sauce is totally delicious. It's one of my favorite pretzels in Disney World. Yes, even better than Mickey pretzels. And Molly really loves that Hawks Grog Ale. It's one of her favorite exclusive beers. I like it too. I am 700 kinds of full from Satu'li Canteen. I don't even think I could stomach a delicious Night Blossom right now. If you want to know more about the Night Blossom, definitely go watch that Eat Everything video here. We had everything at Pongu Pongu as well, including the Pineapple Lumpia. So if you want to know more about Pongu Pongu, you can go give it a watch. Also, I think this like mech suit outside of Pongu Pongu is one of the best photo ops in Pandora, and you should definitely keep an eye on this location around Christmas because it's got some of the most unique Christmas decorations. If you get up close, you can see these dog tags, and right there, that gray one at the top, Joe Rohde. He's everywhere, folks. One last very important, kind of underrated secret spot to show you. It's the exit. You can exit Pandora to Africa on the other side of the land from where you entered, and it's a great way to get around the park without having to go all the way back around the Tree of Life to get to Africa. Well, that just about does it for my Pandora video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you did. And now go watch my tour of Discovery Island. See you there!